Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I am doing my January manga haul. So these are all the books that I bought in the last month. Not a very big haul, but I have been telling you it's going to be small for a while and that's totally fine with me. Yeah, just sort of picking up a couple of titles here and there, but hopefully you will find some of these things interesting to look at. If not, I have, put my camera on the other side of the room, so there's something new to look at in the background at least. At any rate, I will get into this and show you what I've got. The first title I picked up was My Love Story Volume 13. This is the conclusion of My Love Story by Kazune Kawahara and Aruko. I haven't read this yet, but I did pick it up because my sister came with me to the bookstore because I was, shopping for a gift for someone, and we couldn't apparently leave without me buying this so that she could read it. So I ended up picking this up so she could read it. I was probably not going to pick it up right away, but she was sort of adamant that I had to do that. So that's fine. I can do that for her. I was going to collect it eventually, so yeah, I will hopefully get into this and finish reading this pretty soon because I'm pretty far into this, reading this title. And this one's kind of interesting. It actually looks like the illustration is all done with black sesame and yeah, that's sort of a really interesting illustration. I actually thought it was drawn before, but it looks like it's a photograph of sesame seeds. Very cool. And I also ended up picking up for my sister Volume 3 of Shularoon, The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe. I've only read the first volume, but I really enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to reading more of this. So it was a title I was going to collect anyway, but probably not quite as soon. If she wasn't with me, I wouldn't have picked it up. But anyway, I'm happy to add this to the collection. I did end up putting up an order on Amazon Japan, so I do have a handful of Japanese titles. Mostly I was buying some new study materials, but I will show that to you in a different video. But the manga that I ended up picking up were Kinoko Inu by Kimama Aoboshi, I think the name is. So this is Volume 7. And then I also picked up Volume 8, and like seriously, it is the cutest thing. It is about a mushroom who decided to turn into a puppy in order to make this author happy, who's sort of a sad person, and it's just very cute and sweet. It is a seinen title, so there is no furigana or pronunciation using kana characters in it, so it is a little bit difficult for me to read, but I'm just happy to collect it. And the first two volumes were actually published in English and then it was dropped, so I'm just going to keep collecting it, and then one day I'll eventually read it. That's sort of the intention anyway. I'm hoping my language will get to that point, and that is why I am studying Japanese right now. Another reason that I'm studying Japanese is this one, which is Volume 2 of Life is So Happy by Koichi Kaede. This is a continuation of one of my favorite shoujo series, which is not translated into English, which is Love So Life, which I also have in Japanese, and I just think it's absolutely the best. But this is a continuation. The children in this title are in sort of middle school, 5th, 6th grade. In the previous title, they're babies, so this is sort of their adventure now as small people. And I don't know, I'm so happy that there's more of this, and I really, really, really want to read it. And so I continue to study, or at least this is a good motivation for me. I also picked up the next 2 volumes, although I feel like I may have bought this before, and this is why I do this giveaway that I'm doing, because I have a problem and I buy doubles. I feel like I've seen this enough that maybe I actually already own this. Maybe. I'll have to check. Anyway, this is Volume 40 of Skip Beat by Yoshiki Nakamura. I have Volume 40, and then 41. Oops, 41 is also published. It's got this UPC sticker on it, which I'll have to remove, but I'll do that after. So 41 is also out, and it just looks like it's continuing. I thought it was so close to being done, and now it just keeps going and going. Not that I'm disappointed in that. I really love it, and I do kind of like to pre-read it because it's about 2 or 3 volumes ahead of the English release, so I get to read it ahead of time. And because my Japanese is not great, it's still like a new experience reading it in English because I haven't gotten everything. So yeah, I'm really enjoying kind of buying it and then reading it in Japanese and then reading it in English afterwards. So yeah, that's kind of fun. So I've got these 2. And then the last title I bought is actually a bilingual manga, and I'm pretty excited about it, and I hope that more volumes come out in this edition and I don't have to end up actually buying the solely English version, because I think an English version of the same edition is coming out, and that is Sailor Moon Volume 1 by Naoko Takeuchi. I don't know if more than Volume 1 is coming out, but this is just, I love these bilingual manga, they're so cool. So the English is actually here in the bubbles, and then the Japanese is here in the gutters, so you can actually follow along or, you know, read one or the other. It's pretty neat, and for someone who's actually studying the language, it really is very fun to do. I just wish that the Japanese was actually in the bubbles and the English in the sides, because, you know, as someone who's studying Japanese and not English, that would probably be the ideal way to do it. But this isn't really published for me, it's published for someone learning English, so. But at any rate, I love Sailor Moon. She's pretty much the reason why I am here with you today, so yeah, I can't help myself when I see something neat like this, and she's on it, so really happy to have this little book. Now, I bought one title, and this is from Viz's Shoujo Beat. It's one of their new titles, and I think it's just a short, possibly only 2-volume series, because I think the final volume's already out. It's either 2 or 3. I haven't really had time to look, but it came damaged, so I'm really disappointed in it. Like, look at that. So this is SP Baby by Maki and Joji. This is the same author as Happy Marriage, which was a pretty decent, you know, josei manga. At least it really fits the genre. Kind of a standard josei title. Yeah, so I was just interested in reading a little bit more from her, but I'm really, really upset about this damage, and it's not damaged in a way that I could kind of justify contacting Amazon and saying, hey, look at this book, it's got a little bend in it. Usually I try and, you know, have a better reason, like a cover's torn or it's like literally folded in half, not just bent. So I think I'm gonna have to replace this on my own and pick up the next volume, but I probably will read it before I do. It looks pretty cute. I am looking forward to reading it. Then I ended up picking up the 3rd omnibus of Youngness Holmes, Casebook 5 to 7 by Kaoru Shintani. I don't own volumes 1 and 2 of this omnibus series, but I did read the first omnibus from the library. I had borrowed it and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was wonderful. And so I wanted to make sure that I picked this one up because it was actually still available on Amazon in print, so I could get it for cover price with a slight discount. So I really enjoyed this so much, and I knew that I was going to collect it, and so I wanted to make sure that I gave myself at least a chance to collect some of it while it was still available, and still for an okay price. Like, it's still a little bit more than I want to spend, but the other 2 volumes are of course out of print and it's hard to find them, and they're going, or you know, when you find them they're being listed for too high of a value, so I'm unwilling to buy them. So I am on the lookout now for volumes 1 and 2. It's not really a big deal though that I only have the 3rd omnibus, because it was short stories and it didn't look like it was building on itself too much. Like, there was a handful of characters that were kind of from previous stories in the next stories, but it didn't really feel like it was necessary for me to have the whole thing in order to read it. So I'm really happy to have this. I'm glad that I was able to at least get in on the final volume of it, and hopefully I'll have a chance to find the other 2 volumes before it is totally impossible. The last title I ended up buying, I actually picked up from Amazon Japan because it was the best place for me to buy it, even though it's an English volume, and that is Zoo in Winter by Jiro Taniguchi. If you have seen my video about, you know, what books I want to read in the year, you know that Jiro Taniguchi is a project for me for this year, and I want to read all of his titles. I want to collect all of his works. This pretty much brings me to a conclusion of collecting his work. There is one more title, I think it's like Blue Harbor or something like that, that was published. I can't even remember who it was it Pulp or someone who published it? And it's so out of print and it's quite hard to come by, so I'm kind of not worried about whether or not I can collect that one. You know, it'll happen if it happens, so I've pretty much got everything that I can get my hands on that was available to me. So this one I'm really looking forward to. I believe that this is actually his sort of semi-autobiographical work of his life in the mid-60s, becoming a mangaka. So this is going to be a really interesting title to read. There's a few titles now in my collection by some of these prominent mangaka that have written their autobiographies. Some I've read, some I still have to read, so I'm looking forward to, maybe that'll be a project at some point as well, to read through all of these autobiographies. But yeah, I think this is just going to be a really nice publication. Ponentmon makes a really nice book, but I don't really understand why they flip their books still. I'm assuming this is a flipped work. I never saw the original, so maybe it wasn't. Maybe he wrote it in instruction. I don't know. But I find it a little bit strange. At any rate, I'm really happy to have this and glad to sort of see a conclusion to this collecting. I will look again, of course, to see if I'm missing anything kind of glaring, but I think that's it, and I'm looking forward to getting into Jiro Taniguchi this year. So at any rate, here is my haul for January. Just a little haul, mostly Japanese titles. If you have read any of these titles, would love to know. Especially what are your thoughts on Jiro Taniguchi? You know, I am reading his works this year and would love to know if anybody else is out there really enjoying his titles, or which ones you think I should start with, which ones you think you like the best if you've read any of his works. Anyway, I think that's it for me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.